Hello, I'm back. It's been a while, hey? I don't know how long it has been, but it's been long enough that I don't know how long it's been. So that's a while. And so I'll fix up my collar seams. It looks like it's gonna take over my head. And if you've been waiting for this video, because I said I'll do the last one, sorry, it's been a long time. Well, I don't know why it's been such a long period of time. I've been doing this stuff regularly. So, orientate myself in time. Actually, I know why it's taken me so long, because I'm writing a book. And I wanted to write a book about this subject, about human behaviour, human psychology, artificial general, or something around that space. And I'm just fascinated by all that sort of stuff. Like I could talk a leg off a chair, as they might say. And I've been writing this book because it's like the foundations of where I started. I'm not going to give it away. I haven't decided if I'm going to release it under my name or when I'm going to release it yet. The next 6 or so months is where I'm aiming for. And yeah, I really needed to write that book, I think, to get out like the foundations of what has me and has had me be really, really interested in this sort of stuff, this human behavior, like turning this into mathematics and things like that. Anyway, orientate myself in time. Now that's what the subject of this video is today. And I saw, this on Reddit. I was reading Reddit and there was just this random comment, and what I think was a woman said, my mum has dementia, and one of the things that's really interesting about her condition is watching her try to orientate herself in time. And it's such an interesting way to describe how we behave, or how we process information, or how time even occurs to us. And I just thought it was certainly not something that I'd ever noticed before, or even created it that way. And how I heard it is I'm going to get a different color here. Which is that, let's just say, for instance, this is the timeline of life. It has some horizontal dimension here, and these are we don't even know when the end point is for ourselves. It doesn't really matter for these purposes. But there's this woman, and she has dementia, and she's here. Let's just say, for instance, now, or the present is here. Now, someone with dementia doesn't have those sorts of memories, but she's constantly trying to orientate herself in time, trying to give herself something that has her get where she is in time. And because she's got no memories, dementia has an impact on memories, she can't work out where she exists in time. So she's trying to look for these memories. They might be back here and here and here and here, and there might be lots of them. And she's trying to then go, okay, well, where am I now? And where could I be in a short period of time? Like a prediction. That's what I got from this orientate herself in time. And I noticed that I do that all the time. Like we all do, we orientate ourselves in time by giving memories, these things that exist up here that don't exist anymore at all, never will, even if they're recorded, they don't exist anymore. We use them to orientate ourselves in time. Because our concept of time isn't some movement of time. To us, it's memories. Things that happened previously versus things that are currently happening versus things that are going to happen in the future. And that's super interesting to me, because it's like, that's not time. That's things that have happened in the past, happening presently, and could happen in the future. I'm sorry about that noise. I'm not quite sure what that person's doing. They're just on the outside, dragging a chair around. I thought that was like, what is it about time, or what is it about, you know, how we process time that makes it that we need to do it this way? Like, do we even have the ability to like cognitively understand time, or are we just creating some version of what occurs to us as time? Because, you know, if you use Einstein's theory, it's space-time, like, so it's the fabric of space-time. So it's something else completely than some memory that happened. Do you see what I'm pointing to here? Well, maybe, hopefully you do, because I sort of do too. But there's also, I've got no answer. Yeah, and it brings you back to things like going and looking at what entropy is, you know, and discovering, well, what is entropy? You know, a bunch of things happen, or causality, you know, a bunch of things happening one after another. And it's like we use causality, you know. We had a friend when we were 5 years old, and Dad yelled at us when we were 12, and, you know, our birthday was last week. You know, these things that happened one after another, that might not be related at all, but they are to us because they're related to our lives. So we create that relationship, but the events themselves are completely unrelated, other than our own, you know, experience of them. Like, we touched those events as we went through, but to us, that's time. And, you know, it had me wonder what has us want to orientate ourselves in time, and why. I look at my dog, I look at the horse, and we've got a horse. They don't seem to be particularly interested in time or orientating themselves in time. They just don't seem to be. Now, that's not saying they don't remember things. And what I mean by that is, I was reading about horse psychology, and they said that horses remember all the bad stuff. And I would say that humans do that too. I mean, when I've looked at the things that human beings just naturally react to, naturally operate inside of, it's all the bad things. You know, and that would look like things like being embarrassed, you know, made fun of, having the experience that we're dumb, having the experience that we're not smart enough, or good looking enough, or funny enough, or tall enough, or short enough, or pretty enough. They're all those sorts of experiences. And they're negative, but horses also do that, but it's not about orientating themselves in time. Now, none of the other things, like for instance, we're not smart enough, pretty enough, they're not about orientating ourselves in time either. So we essentially do that similar to horses. But there's something else that we do. There's some other thing that we do that we want to orientate ourselves here, you know, in the present. You know, and go, right, that's what we want to do. And it's really, really important to us. It gives us some version of, I guess, the experience of being alive, some legitimacy. But when you look at things like causality, they're not time, they're just things that happened one after another. And did they really happen one after another? Like, if you speed up time to the speed of light, nothing happens. Like, it's just a blur. We never existed. And is that time? I don't know. Because it seems like photons, based on our current understanding, don't experience time. You know, they're traveling at the speed of light, like the zero speed of the universe. And anything less than that, there's some experience of time. Like, you can experience causality, things happening one after another. But as you approach the speed of light, you don't experience anything happening one after another. It's just all happening at once. I think it's just a really interesting question to continue to ponder. And so that's what I'm going to continue to ponder. Orientating myself in time. So I'd say it's more like orientating myself in causality. You know, or entropy. One of those two things. Not so much time. But yeah, that's. I hope you enjoyed today's thought experiment and where I'm currently going with this. And it's all about this. Where it really started was, if you think about now, it's the only time that does exist. That's it. Nothing else exists. So, and causality is really difficult to work backwards. I think if you might have watched one of my videos previously, like if you saw a bunch of pool balls on a table, how would you work out where they were 2 seconds earlier? There'd be so many possible outcomes. So it's like a nigh impossible to go backwards with any kind of serious like truth to it. It'd be just a bunch of guesses. So yeah, it's super interesting, and I'm going to be definitely going down the road. I've read Judai's Pearl's book about causality. I'm really interested to delve deeper into this and see what I can find. So thanks for tuning in. Speak soon.